Broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This is the Firearms Radio Network. The bandwidth for this episode of Gun Guy Radio is sponsored by Patriot Patch Company. PatriotPatch.co.
Welcome to episode 204 of Gun Guy Radio. This is a podcast that shines a positive light on the firearms lifestyle. I'm your host, Jake Challen. This is your weekly dose of positive firearms talk without the politics. And we have a great panel this week on the new and improved Gun Guy Radio. We have Josh Cast of Four Guys Guns. Hey, Josh.
Hey, Jake. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
And we have JW of the AR-15 podcast. Hey, JW.
What's up, everybody?
And John Patton of the Gun Collective. Hey, John.
Hi.
So I guess we'll kind of skip the week in review segment since that's essentially what we're talking about. We're talking about our experience at the Stone Mountain machine gun shoot in Pennsylvania. Very, very rural Pennsylvania, as it turns out. And very, very wet Pennsylvania, as it turns out. So Amazon, shop with our Amazon affiliate link to support this program and all the Firearms Radio Network shows. Firearmsradio.tv/Amazon is the URL you can bookmark for your shopping convenience. Shop Amazon and while clicking through our affiliate link, and a small portion of your sale will go to supporting pro-gun shows like Gun Guy Radio. And also, Patriot Patch Company helps make this episode possible. We have new T-shirts in stock. I'll have to drop some new links in the show notes here, but we have new T-shirts for the ladies, new T-shirts for the guys. We have a new Banana Mag T-shirt, new Patriot Patch logo T-shirt, which I'm wearing. Really can't see. And Freedom Switch and short sleeve version T-shirts. So check it out, patriotpatch.co. Well, main topic this week is the machine gun shoot and the Shooter's Gauntlet Range in Monroeton, Pennsylvania. So I think we all had a little bit different experiences. I have experience of more of a vendor, actually, with Patriot Patch and the Firearms Radio Network, and I think that's going to vary a little bit from your guys' experiences. But these episodes are a little bit more geared towards the newbie, so let's get down to basics here. John, what is a machine gun?
So the most simple way to explain it is that as opposed to a semi-automatic requiring a trigger pull every time you would like to set a round off a machine gun, will continue to fire rounds when you hold the trigger down until the magazine goes empty. I think that's the most simplistic way to explain it. It's a little bit more complicated with the mechanisms internally and things like that, and what's required to make it do that. But the long and short of it is, you just hold the trigger down and it keeps shooting. That is something that's machine guns are on the National Firearms Act, so there's a little bit more involved in actually acquiring them and blah 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 blah. But we won't get into that. The long and short of it is, you hold the trigger down and pew 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 pew.
Right, in the news media and movies, they get that wrong a lot. Well,
pretty consistently wrong.
Yeah, where if someone really has a semi-auto AK-47 or semi-auto AR-15, and they'll refer to it as a machine gun, but it is not.
Right, or an assault rifle. Yeah, perfect.
So, so where did we go to this machine gun shoot? I was out in so I had never been to Pennsylvania before, and the farthest east I'd really been was just over the border in Ohio, and once I really got into Pennsylvania, once we really got into the area where the shoot was, it was kind of bizarre. I kind of felt I was more like in Arkansas. Or, it felt like I was down south almost.
We call that area Pennsyltucky. It's basically like the middle of the state where it's quite rural, and there's just not a lot going on. Up in the mountains, the Poconos, the Appalachian mountain chain.
It was, it was something different. for me. I kept having to remind myself, yeah, I'm in Pennsylvania. It was different. So
I mean, I've spent some time up there. I've vacationed in that area and camped out up there. So like, it's basically in my backyard. But I'm interested to see what Josh thinks of it. And I know JW is from the other side of the state, so he might feel the same way I do about it.
yeah, so JW and John, you're both from Pennsylvania. JW, what's your impression of that region?
Oh, great. I mean, it's awesome to get out to the city. It's a little further away. I'm from Pittsburgh recently, and it's about a 5-hour drive.
Yeah, I think we're losing you. We really didn't get any of that. So, Josh, tell us a little bit about where you're from and what your impression is.
I'm up in New Hampshire, and New Hampshire is part of New England, for all those that don't know. And in New England, we're pretty densely packed, and you have, big stretches of open areas and farms and things like that, but not like Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, it's the same but bigger. So apparently anywhere you drive is 45 minutes to an hour just to get cell service. Being that we dabble a lot in social media these days, that took some getting used to. But I think what really the accent was very interesting. I heard a couple locals using some dialect that was very interesting to me. And, maybe John can do an impression, I'm sure, but all in all, it was gorgeous. I mean, that's America, We come from all shapes and sizes and forms, and it was gorgeous. It was big, huge, rolling hills. The forests were awesome because in New England we're used to, like, a lot of shrubbery under the trees, and here it's like you see in movies. It's like just trees and ground with, like, rocks sporadically, so it was cool to see. The reason why I bring all that up is because the shoot took place, like, on top of a mountain. The shoot was two separate, like, banks of the same mountain or opposing mountains, and there was a neat little trail in between, but it was really cool because we can actually go, like, through the woods if we had to, and you're not, like, tripping over stuff. And all in all, it was wet, but it was really cool. I liked the scenery. Appreciate it.
So, yeah, we showed up, and it was very, very wet. It had been raining, like, most of the day before, and for me as a vendor, like, that whole area was just a swamp when we pulled in. We pulled in late Friday night, so the shoot was Saturday, Sunday, and we were like, yeah, we're not going to set up right now. It was still pouring rain, and they were going to do some things to help fix the situation the earlier the next day. So we found the hotel, and yeah, Josh, you're right about the cell service. It was like non-existent in a lot of places, and which kind of threw me off too, because I've done a lot of traveling in the surrounding states to Illinois in the last year for my Amazon business, and I hadn't really ran into anywhere that I didn't have cell service in this day and age. So that was a little bit different for me, that they're just, my impression was that Verizon was one of the only options in that area, and Verizon really didn't even work that well either. It was funny. I was right by a Verizon store, and I'm like, I really don't have signal here, and they're selling Verizon phones here.
It's one of those things where it's just like, good luck.
Right.
Nobody gets service. It's a crapshoot no matter what you have. But you know what I mean? Like that area is just picturesque is probably the best way to put it. It's the stuff you see on postcards and in movies and all that. It's really beautiful, and they really did a nice job. So to give people context, the Shooter's Gauntlet created the ranges that we were using for this event. The place was not nearly as big as it was when we were there prior to that. They, as part of the planning for this, they pushed a lot of land around and really made this place huge. And unfortunately, they kind of ran out of time trying to get everything perfect. So there was some gnarly, swampy, muddy areas, but I think it was cool overall. I personally was kind of prepared for that. I was like, all right, I know it's raining. I'm gonna bring some boots, and I don't mind a little bit of mud on my pants.
Yeah, you try and look at the range from Google Maps or something like that. It's like, so where did they put the range here? Because it's all woods.
Right.
They moved a ton of ground. I mean, even over at the machine gun range, that whole lake was there, the shooting range. I mean, I don't know if they used some of that binary explosive to drop some trees or what, but they did a lot of work up there.
Yeah, it's funny. That pond is a relatively new addition because they were trying to get more dirt to move around and kind of level things out. So they actually dug that out to get more dirt. And they were like, well, what do we, we had a meeting because I was part of helping them try to get things together. And they were just like, I don't know where are we supposed to put all this? How big do we need it? It's pretty cool though. It turned out really nice. I think the facility has a ton of potential. If we catch it on a dry day and there's some either stone or grass down to kind of help keep the soil in place, I think it's going to be really, really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got a ton of potential for the future. So let's talk about day one Saturday. What did you guys, John and Josh? Did you guys show up together and start hitting the ranges?
We did.
So I was stuck at my booth the whole time. I never even got down to the machine gun range. So tell me about that.
It was interesting because you passed by it really without even knowing it to go and park. I think the number one kind of peeve we all have with the shoot that hopefully they'll correct next year was that there's a great distance between the suppressor shoot area and the vendors and where the machine gun shoot was, and it was quite literally uphill both ways. But it was very easy to walk to the machine gun shoot. Nice brand new bridge, flattened, hardened gravel path, and you would see the Josh Prinslaw red Hummer as you walked up. And as you come to the top of like the crest of the hill, you just see this big flat expanse of probably about the size of a football field, and it had a nice little grade up into the side of the mountain, and then there was more gravel backing and media, and it looked like it was built for the purpose, which was awesome. It was not as busy early, and I think we went there first because it was closer before we went up to the suppressor. I think maybe we might have liked to start at the suppressor side first as people were kind of trickling in, moving forward next year, but the machine gun shoot definitely started picking up later in the afternoon, and it was weird because I've never been to a machine gun shoot. This was an entirely new experience for me, so I didn't know what to expect. And I expected, the slight expectations maybe I guess that I had was, you have different vendors, like, hey, try our wares, kind of like a SHOT Show range day, and that's not the case at all. You either pay by magazine, pay for ammo, and it makes sense in hindsight. These are all a lot of private owners, so it's weird to see people like Lancer there, and Lancer didn't have full auto, but here's our ammo, and then the guy next to him is just like, it's a once 3 times a year he gets to fire his full auto, so he dumps 9-10 mags, and then he might actually offer a small 8.5 by 11 paper that he scribbled in crayon, like, hey, 1 mag equals $35, and you can run my gear, kind of thing. So it makes.
I was surprised the split of just kind of private owners that didn't do rentals, and then private/business owners who did have rentals, and the guys that were just there to shoot and didn't rent out their guns. Quite a few of them kind of mentioned, hey, the lawyers don't want me doing this. Anybody could just walk up and give me $20 and be a felon, and I'm not going to be passing my machine gun collection out to random guys without background checks and driver's licenses. And they bring up a good point.
Yeah, that is a good point, I think, and it's something I actually didn't think about. I think, if you were to hand somebody a full auto SBR, which is a short barrel rifle for those of you that are new, a barrel and shorter than 16 inches, for you to hand somebody, that could be a known felon, a fully automatic, I don't want the 100-round mag, and then they just decide to make a tragedy, well, that's a big problem. So it makes sense. But guys like that, generally, in my experience, don't know about things like that. They're busy doing hood rat things with their hood rat friends in the hood. So I've been wrong before.
So JW,
that's what I was going to say is that's why you have RSOs, and this is part of the growing pains of events like this. A lot of machine gun shoots end up having way more RSOs, way more volunteers that are there to try and counteract negative things like that from happening. I think, as part of the growing pains of an event like this, I think it would have been cool to see some separation of the guys that were not allowing people to shoot their stuff versus the guys that were, because you got a lot of guys that are just they've never been to an event like this, like Josh. You don't really, without good signage or anything like that, you have no idea what's going on.
Sure.
You know, so you could be walking down the line, one guy's selling mags, you go to the next guy, and he's like, no way, you know what I mean? Like, and that's just a matter of kind of figuring out how it needs to work. That's all.
And I think kind of to the point of, hey, what if something dangerous happened? One of the things that really rubbed me the right way was checking out their website and kind of the ground rules. And you run into a lot of pro-gun events that, for one reason or another, end up being kind of anti-gun with concealed carrying and going into the premises with a firearm of your own. That was so upfront, like, hey, bring your guns, keep them in their holsters, be safe about it, but bring your guns.
Yeah.
And so I think if something were to turn, it wouldn't have lasted too long.
So, JW, you were there as a big part of what you were doing was photography, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your perspective when you walked onto the machine gun range.
It was great. I mean, I haven't been down to Knob Creek at all. I know that's kind of the gold standard for this sort of an event, and so I'd kind of seen some of the photos and stuff from that event. And so this was definitely the same sort of deal. Guys had signs up saying, "Hey, this is what the mags cost. This is what it costs to fire a round out of my friggin' cane gun AOW." That was probably the best value on the range, actually. Maybe the guy right next to him had a 20 millimeter, and it was really cheap. It was like $7 a round, or something. He could have been making very much money on that. But yeah, you just kind of up and down the range. Everyone was super nice. The guys that had provided the binary explosives from, is it U.S. Chemical? They actually, I was kind of wandering by. I had like a vendor wristband because I was with Jake, and he called out, "Hey, what's up? What are you looking for?" Talked for a while about the chemicals that they brought, how they mix them up, how they kind of go cold on the range every half hour to an hour and set new explosives out, and just kind of the deals that they were giving out to people and comparing buying in bulk from them versus buying basically by the pound at Gander Mountain or something from some of the bigger names like Tannerite and kind of the typical stuff. Super nice guys. They actually had a drone they were flying to do some videos during the shooting. And so, yeah, I just kind of wandered up and down, got some photos of guys just dumping mags all morning. I brought a little video camera that I stole from my boss that shoots. It's got two cameras in it, and it shoots all the way around, basically at every angle simultaneously. So it's not super high resolution, but it lets you, when you open the video up on your phone, it lets you basically look around with the phone, like a virtual reality sort of thing. So that was kind of cool, playing around with that for the first time. I had it on a little tripod thing. I'd throw it down basically at the firing line. So when you scroll through the video, you're standing at the firing line. It'd be unsafe for you to stand there, but it's a really cool perspective, seeing guys. There's this old guy with a Tommy gun, just hip firing it, just emptying a drum mag, and Brass is shooting at the camera. And it was great. I mean, everyone was super friendly. "Hey, could I stick this contraption up next to you firing your water-cooled belt-fed?" "Oh, yeah, go for it. Come on in here. Check it out."
I find that's the case with a lot of those guys that have spent a ton of time, gathering these incredible collections of machine guns. They're so eager to share and let people learn. They want you to come in there. They want you to take pictures. They want to educate you on what they've got and just share that experience, because a lot of those guys have been around long enough to know that that's the only way to get people interested and continue what they love.
So, JW, you covered a few cool guns you shot. John, cool guns that you
Actually, I didn't fire a single round.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
I fired 20 out of a Lancer.
John, did you shoot it at all?
So here's the interesting thing about the crowd that was there and me. I know most of them, or have interacted with most of them prior. I've shot most of the guns that were there. So this event kind of spawned out of a local event that used to be about 15 minutes from my house. And, I've known the organizer, Josh Prince, FICG, and Adam Kraut. I've known, obviously the guys that listen to the network know Adam, but he was part of that. But I've shot most of the guns that were there, and for
I've
me
never
it was.
done that.
Well, no, it wasn't that. It was I'm not going to get in the way of somebody else having a good time. Like one of the vendors tried to get me to sign up to like win a free suppressor, and I said no. I'm not going to take that potential chance away from somebody else. Like, my deal with an event like this is to meet people and have guys that I ask to come out and hang out. I want to see them having a good time. It doesn't matter. I've shot all kinds of machine guns, especially like the guy with the water cooled machine guns. I've fired a couple of those. I've shot his cannon. I've shot this.
Brag.
Hey, no. You stand around in a machine gun shoot long enough, you're like, screw it, I'm spending some money. And the guy with the 20 millimeter that you mentioned, he also has really cool Nagant revolver, which for those of you that are unaware, is a gas seal revolver. So what actually happens is the round doesn't stick out of the front of the casing. It's actually recessed in, and the cylinder moves forward when you pull the trigger. Double action. It actually moves the cylinder forward and seals around the forcing cone, so you actually get a nice tight gas seal, and it's one of the only, if not the only, revolvers that can actually be suppressed. And it's an incredible gun to shoot. It's just a lot of fun. I've shot that before. I've shot the Tommy guns. There weren't as many HK guns out there as I normally see. I think a lot of those guys come from areas where they didn't want to travel up this far, but
There was a bunch later in the day.
Oh, was there? Maybe I missed them.
Like some official HK person, so to speak, set up like a booth way down from like right before that guy with the MG42 and everything. Like before those tents, somebody had like all the HKs. There was
cool.
5 different HKs, 6 different HKs, like doubles of each, and all the ammo and official I'm an HK guy kind of shirt.
See, this is why we get multiple people, because we can't see everything.
Absolutely. So someone mentioned binary explosives. Who can explain that for the newer guy, what that is?
Binary explosives is something, it's an explosive compound that is created by combining 2 different chemicals together, and then it has to be struck with a fast-moving projectile with decent mass. Most people would refer to it as tannerite. Tannerite was one of the bigger and first names that came about. USA Chemical Supply has a product called Binary X, and Binary X is a different mixture than tannerite, and they were very gratuitous all day long with 1 pound, 5 pound, 10 pound sacks all over the range all day. So every time they called a ceasefire to reset targets, they'd drop like literally these big like pillows of binary all over the place. And what's great about it is that it's pretty darn safe as long as you're safe with it. Once you mix it, you don't want to be near it when you decide to send a round through it, as the jack wagon with the lawnmower had shown us all. But it's a lot of fun because in a situation like this where you have all these different guys that are shooting all at once, we were on the suppressor range when we started putting like 25-pound bags out, and you could hear that like reverberating off of the mountains back and forth, and it like every time it went off, it was like a boom, wah, wah, wah. It was like the sound in Star Wars when Boba Fett dropped a depth charge in the middle of space.
Yeah, you guys were talking about heading over to the MG range in the morning and kind of having to find your way down there. By the time I headed down, they were already setting stuff off, and we had to put our ear pro on halfway down the road. And so we found our way pretty easy.
You felt it like in your chest. That's like
For
something
sure.
that like there's it's one thing to shoot a gun. It's another to shoot a gun full auto. And then when you shoot a full auto gun into something that makes a really big boom and leaves a small crater, it's so gratifying and you feel it. And then when you have that happening 50 times in a span of, 2 minutes, as everyone finds every one of these little baggies, it's a different experience altogether. It really kind of adds a level of, I would say, excitement, because you're like, holy crap, what is this?
Yeah, it sounded like someone was laying down some airstrikes or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was. And then they set off a big, like, what was it, like 600-pound?
600-pounder.
Yeah, and there's a slow-mo video. I'll link to that in the show notes. But you can see the concussion blast coming off of that and rolling.
Yeah, it's like a supersonic wave rolling through the cloud.
Yeah.
That's chased by the actual explosion itself, and that was pretty awesome.
600 pounds was also the record for USA Chemical Supply. They had previously done 5, and they said, screw it, we're doing more. And it's really, really rare to be able to find a place where you can do that and not cause a big problem. Like they set off, I think it was 500 or 550 down in Florida at the NFA review shoot, and I think they said they had police from 30 miles away come to the event. I mean, seriously, you've got to set off that amount. You've got to be super, super rural.
Well, and I didn't see any police show up to this event, so
They probably couldn't even find a place if they tried.
The funny thing is that I guess I was talking to the owner earlier, and he said that the 600-pound was so big that there's a guy from 6 miles away that came and complained that they had cracked his ceiling. So everyone was like, "Oh, like really?" And I guess he came back like 2 hours later and was like, "Oh yeah, you cracked my foundation too." And it was at that point they're like, "You're totally just trying to get free repairs for something." So
that's fun.
I guess it was physically
I ran into that
possible.
just today at my day job here. I work in construction, and we're dropping this big weight over and over to make the ground stronger. And we had a neighbor stop by and say, "Hey, I'm going to send an insurance adjuster your way."
Ladies and gentlemen, it is 7-inning stretch time. We invite you to join in singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game."
Patches, get your patches here. Patriot Patch Company has all your favorite flavors. Tactical, Western, sci-fi, pop culture, hot and ready. Don't forget to wash it down with a Pro Gun Custom Screen Printed T-shirt. Available in sizes medium to 5XL. They're great for any occasion. Patches, get your patches at patriotpatch.co.
So, yeah, and I'll link to JW. You took a lot of great photos, too. I'll link those up in the show notes.
Oh, thanks.
And so, yeah, let's get to the suppressor side of things. Anything interesting on that range?
Yeah, so, I mean, to get your way up there, I don't know how much you guys got dug into that.
Forget the suppressors. Let's talk about the Trail of Tears.
Well, I was having some connection issues there. But it was quite a hike. I think it dried out a little bit throughout the day, so maybe Sunday would have been a little better. But, Jake, you must have had quite an adventure getting up that hill to set up your tent.
Yeah, and I didn't have my big Suburban. I had this little rental Santa Fe that I was like, let's see what this thing can do. Luckily, it was all-wheel drive, but, yeah, it made it up the hill a couple times. Yeah.
So yeah, they had this big hill with a range cut into it, and it was like 2/3 vendors, 1/3 suppressor range. And the great thing about that is a lot of the vendors were suppressor manufacturers. So you could talk to them and say, "Hey, what'd you bring?" And they'd say, "This, this, and this. You want to shoot them?" And you'd grab them off the table, you'd give them your driver's license, and you'd buy a box of ammo from the guy next door. You'd walk 50 yards, and you'd shoot away. And they got to set something up like that at SHOT. They got to set up like an indoor range or something where you can say like, "Hey, could I try that out?" "Okay, get in line." I know that the numbers are ridiculous there, so you couldn't make that work. But just being able to talk to the rep, and then the rep say, "Yeah, here you go, give it a try." My competitor there next to me, yeah, grab his too. Shoot them side by side. Why not?
Very cool. And yeah, so the vendor area had quite a selection of vendors. Had different things you normally see at some gun shows, but some things you don't, like New Jersey concealment furniture, where they have the different like coat hooks and like pictures and stuff that have hidden gun compartments in. So that was kind of cool.
Patriot Patch was there.
Patriot Patch was there.
They look pretty busy.
Yeah, we had some real busy times. That's where I spent most of my time, and it was cool. It was cool to see people in person, checking out the patches and shirts and.
Suppressor wise, I was pretty disappointed. I understand that there were some issues in the morning that changed, people's views of the event over up on the hill there. But I was disappointed to see, Dead Air wasn't there, Gemtech wasn't there. I was happy to see my buddy from Alpha Dog there. Silencer Co. had a huge spread, but it was like a weird dance you had to do to go and try and get one. So there was that. Yankee Hill is Yankee Hill, and I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I caught them earlier in the day, but that was one of the things that I was really glad to have seen was Dead Air, because they had a couple of their cans, and I'd never messed with their mounting system in person, and that really impressed me, because I've got some buddies that want to do the whole 2-stamper, 300 blackout with the rail over the can thing, and being able to do it without needing to get your fingers at the base of the can to manipulate some sort of latch was pretty slick.
I have yet to see a single Dead Air can, aside from pictures on the interwebs.
Yeah, they had 4 or 5 there in the morning. I know there were some concerns about safety at the range there, and they had set up some things a few different ways. So
yeah, it was a little bit of a mess because I guess they said it one way, but then like Slag was at risk of hitting a bunch of the vendors, and it's easier to move a range than it is to move all the vendors that were set up. So like they rotated the range, and there was it was down for like an hour while they moved all this stuff around, and
when we were breaking down, I found a fleck of projectile on our booth.
A fleck of projectile.
But that can happen in a lot of places.
I I got out of my car in the morning, I put my iPro on. I didn't take them off until I got back in the car.
So yeah, I guess I had a few vendors pull out, and I don't know if it was because of the weather or whatnot. We pulled out. We didn't come back Sunday because it was going to be raining all day that night, and then again Sunday. And I was not very confident I was going to get the Santa Fe up there to get our booth out of there.
You should have thrown everything in the back of that friggin' tank that they had.
I didn't realize that tank was driving around. I only saw it parked, and then I'm seeing these videos of it.
Yeah, I was on Instagram. I saw videos of
cars.
Flamethrowers burning down cars, and then the tank driving over the car. Looks like I missed quite a bit there on that last day.
You mean the tank getting stuck on the car and then getting pulled off with a Hummer, or?
Really?
By American.
I guess they didn't post that one. It was just
By American.
where it went clear over it.
Yeah, he. I think it was dude. I mean, to be perfectly honest, after the flamethrower, not even the flamethrower really, but the incendiary rounds mixed with the tannerite in the cars. These things were so paper thin and shredded. I mean, the springs inside the seats were like what was left, kind of thing. So you take a tank and you put it over something that just has so much metal going through, and it's like putting a hockey stick through bike spokes. So he probably went. He wasn't going fast. He went to crunch over it, and I think something folded up inside the actual tread and wheel, so he got stuck. And then they had to cram it in reverse while Josh's Humvee pulled him out in reverse. And then he did it again, and he actually cleared it. So then it was like, oh, okay, now that we have a path. Then he just kept kind of ramping over it, like, look what I can do. And
there you go.
A bunch of us already saw him get stuck, so we were like, Bye, American.
So one of the coolest things about events like this is the people. Meeting guys like you guys, meeting fans, meeting different colleagues in the industry and new people. John, I saw quite a bit Gun Collective fans running you down.
Dude, it was incredible. It's so cool to have a whole bunch of people stop me and say, hey, dude, I love what you do. And they wanted to talk about whatever was on their mind, and it still makes me feel. It's kind of strange, you know what I mean? Like I'm like, whoa, I'm taken back by it. Like this person knows who I am, and they want to talk to me. That's pretty cool,
Did I see you signing a guy's chest?
No,
Okay.
I
never mind.
No, I've the first guy that ever asked me for an autograph was actually there with the hat, and he had Whitey sign it, which was cool.
It was a total pity autograph.
It was not.
He was like, oh yeah, so you're standing here too, sign my hat, Whitey.
Hey, to be fair, he came up and had me sign it too.
It's just, just a lot of good people, man. Just a lot of good people.
Absolutely, and it's kind of cool. We had a lot of This Week in Guns fans come up, and a few of them were newer guys that have just gotten into guns in the last year and a half. So I thought that was pretty cool too. That brand new gun guys are tuning into this content that we're pumping out, and then they're showing up to events too.
Just to hear about an event on one of you guys' shows and actually make the commitment to get out there in the middle of the woods and, as a new shooter, walk around like a firing line full of the most exotic machine guns ever. It's just diving headfirst into the hobby. It's just awesome to see.
Absolutely. So, kind of round out the main topic. I really just want to encourage, new guys. Don't be afraid to, come out to events like this in your area. Any kind of, a lot of gun ranges will have an open house, and they'll have kind of a taste of this at those events. But don't be afraid to come out. Meet some cool people, make some new friends, and by making new friends, you can probably find some shooting mentors to help you learn more about the shooting sports and about firearms in general, about concealed carry, whatever you're looking to learn in this firearms lifestyle. So, any final thoughts?
If you have an opportunity to go to an event like this, do it.
And bring your Pro and iPro.
Yeah,
and boots.
And money.
All the ducats.
All the boots. I thought about buying boots at Kmart and selling them at the event. I think I would have sold.
Capitalist, you.
I think I would have sold more boots than T-shirts.
Yeah, I mean they've already got a date set for next year on the calendar, so check that out if you can make it out there. I know there's similar events in other parts of the country, but for those of us here in Pennsylvania and the Northeast, this is probably one of the closest events like this. So it was great to be able to have something a little closer to home, and yeah, I mean just be able to see that no, these things aren't prohibited. It's not only the government that can have these things. There is a narrow pathway to individual ownership for a lot of these really cool historical artifacts, and to be able to rub shoulders with guys that have gone through those hoops and that have learned the intricacies of running these vintage machine guns. It's great. I mean, there's no barrier at all. You just walk right up, talk with them. You can learn a ton, and you can run into other guys here, whether they're radio guys or YouTubers or industry guys that you've seen them put out content, you've seen them release products. You can go up and talk to them and say, hey, what's coming up next? What are you guys working on? And a lot of them, when you talk to them in person, they might have some little advanced notice on things that they can kind of sneak you a hint at.
Yeah, like you said before, I think this event has huge potential for the future, and they did set a date already for next year. I think it's going to be about a month later. So
it's like May 20-ish.
Yeah. So and it's actually going to be the NRA show is going to be like a month earlier next year. So
yeah, they're kind of flip-flopping this time.
Yeah. So that about wraps up the main topic. Next week, we're talking about accessories. We talked about some topics here about, buying your first gun, shooting your first gun, cleaning your first gun, and now we're talking about maybe I want to, get something for it, whether it's a holster, new sights, new trigger, more magazines, whatever it is.
That's what I'm talking about. This is sounding a lot like a AR-15 podcast sort of thing.
So yeah, tune in next week. Accessorize me and. We have recently revamped the Patreon perks. If you'd like to crowdfund this episode, support this program, you can go to patreon.com/gun and support us for as little as $1 per episode. And we have a bunch of other perks too if you want to pledge a little more. There's Firearms Radio Network shirts, Gun Guy Radio patches, after show hangout option, supply drop boxes, ammo dump boxes where we'll send you a bunch of goodies in a box about every 3 to 4 months. And we also have the Patch of the Month Club and T-shirt of the Month Club as well. So check it out, patreon.com/gun, and you can support pro-gun shows like Gun Guy Radio and Hunter of Design. If you're looking for any kind of graphic artwork, any kind of website design, letterhead, whatever it is, any kind of artwork design, check out Ryan Cross at hunterofdesign.com. That about wraps us up. Remember to subscribe with iTunes. Leave us a review there. Please consider joining the NRA and Second Amendment Foundation. And don't forget to check out all the other awesome shows here on the Firearms Radio Network. And also shop with our Amazon affiliate link firearmsradio.tv/Amazon. So, John, where can people find the Gun Collective and connect with you online?
You can just punch in the Gun Collective on any of your social media sites or the Google machine, and you'll find me. I'm all over.
Very cool. And a new episode released today, and it releases once a week, right?
Yeah, normally on Monday nights. It was a day late this week because of all the traveling and whatnot. But normally Monday evenings is when TGC News comes out, and check it out. I think you guys will really enjoy it.
And Gun Guy Radio is now streaming live, normally Monday evenings, and as well, this program was also delayed a day. But if you normally, like to check out the show in video form, these are now going up live Monday nights. JW, where can people connect with you online and find out what you're doing?
Yeah, recording with the AR-15 podcast. It's part of the FRN, obviously. We've got a big happy group website now, so if you go to firearmsradio.tv, you can see us there. I like to post photos all the time on Instagram, so follow me at JWRamp, R-A-M-P.
Very cool. Josh, Four Guys Guns, where can people connect?
I taught John everything he knows. You can go anywhere and check out Four Guys Guns, all one word. We're on Instagram, Facebook, all the social medias, especially now on Snapchat, FGG space Whitey. A lot of fun there, a little bit less tidy, more foul-mouthed, but
I was going to say it's not always safe for work content, is it, on Snapchat?
On Snapchat, no, not at all. But everywhere else, well, that's FGG Whitey. So if we ever do a Four Guys Guns Snapchat, that's how that works.
Clean that one up.
Yeah, we'll clean it right up. But yeah, check us out. We have a new review coming out tomorrow. We're very curious about these new RE Factor tactical targets. I know it seems a little kind of off the beaten path for what we normally do, but I really like, what's the word I'm looking for? I like being able to be proficient in things. So they say with 150 rounds, one target, and their little curriculum, you get a full workout pistol. And we took Mrs. Whitey, and she's had like 0.75 of a firearms class in her life. So we put her to the test of it, and it was really interesting to see the results. That review will be up tomorrow. We also have a Bowers review coming up next week, as well as another stealth gear holster, the Outside Waistband Flex, that we're doing a giveaway on. So that's going to run with the winner being announced at the NRA show, or at NRAM. So go to 4guysguns.com/giveaway, and you can enter once every day, every 24 hours. The clock starts the moment you enter, so if you try and enter at 9 at night, you can't enter at 6 in the morning, sorry. But Lehigh Defense self-defense rounds, flex holster, a really sweet custom Glock 19 with RMR, and a sweet threaded barrel from Voodoo Innovations, and a Dewey Rods cleaning kit and Dewey rod specifically for the pistol. So check it out, totally free, and that's going to be a short turnaround time one. So yeah,
very cool.
We do things.
Hey John, plug your event at our NRA show.
Oh yeah.
So hey, if you guys want to see some of your favorite content creators, such as the Military Arms Channel, IV8888, 22 Plinkster, Four Guys Guns, We Like Shooting, and myself all in one room, be able to ask us any question, whether it's ridiculous, serious, whatever, and get a chance to hang out with us and potentially win some incredible free stuff, like a reloading press, some binary explosives, tactical walls, shelves, stuff like that. You should check it out. You can find the event on my Facebook page. It's facebook.com/The Gun Collective, and that'll be the thing to do at NRA this year, the NRA annual meeting in Louisville. So if you're going, definitely check that out.
How much extra does it cost to touch you?
It is $0 to touch me, David. JW. I'm like slurring my words here.
But a ZJ, if you gotta ask, you can't afford it.
Yeah, you gotta pay up for that.
And we also are going to have a Firearms Radio Network listener meetup Saturday night at 7 p.m. They're at the Cardinal Hall of Fame Cafe, just outside the fairgrounds, I guess. The NRA is
the Expo Center.
Held at Expo Center, but it's like the fairgrounds outside that. So it's going to be 7 p.m. That Saturday night, Firearms Radio Network listener meetup. Hope to see you guys there.
Hell yeah.
So that's a wrap. Thank you, John.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jake.
Thank you, JW.
Always a pleasure.
And thank you, John.
Thanks for having me, Jake. Pleasure to be here.
We'll see you next week.
This has been a production of the Firearms Radio Network. You can find more information at firearmsradio.tv. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Now, to tell you the truth, I kind of forgot in all this excitement. But being this is the Guns of Hollywood podcast on the most popular pro-gun podcast network in the world and will blow your eardrums clean out, you've got to ask yourself a question. Have you subscribed yet? Well, have you, punk? GunsOfHollywood.com or search Guns of Hollywood on iTunes or your favorite podcatcher app. Punk.